You're on Small Talk with Devoted. I'm your host, Devoted, and this is Aaron Wedra, my guest today with Smartz Graphics. Aaron, how are you doing today?
Doing excellent, Derek. Thanks for having me on your new show. This is going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's really an honor and a privilege to have you on, man. I want to let the viewers know right out the gate, man, just how much Aaron has done for me. He has single-handedly just thrown down my entire branding. You know, my Double Records logo, my Devoted logo, and the Small Talk with Devoted logo. You know that you see here. You know, he just freaking put me through the roof professionally with that. Look at this beautiful freaking cap, man. I mean, yeah, that's right. Freaking showcase it. You know what I'm saying? So, before I dive in, I want to speak a little bit more about this magnanimous man here. He met me at Hip Hop for Change in East Oakland in 2017. That's where him and I met. You know, we both have other similar interests that I'm not going to express on the air. Some of you might know what I'm referring to. And that was a beautiful connection point, you know, out the gate. Furthermore, we were at this Hip Hop for Change in East Oakland, man, with, you know, Chino XL and Immortal Technique and Poison Pen and Gina Madrid. Shout out to Gina Madrid. You know, she put it down, her and Stilo. But anyway, yeah, so, you know, it was just an amazing time, man, and we just hit it off the cuff, and his energy is just freaking amazing. He's just been a really amazing friend to me, man, through my transient nature, traveling through 19 different states and what have you. So Aaron, tell us a bit about yourself, man. Your childhood interests. You know, just give us some background on Aaron here. Who you know, the man, the legend, the whole deal.
Thanks, Derek. That was a hell of an introduction. Wow. And I agree. Our meeting, it's memorable. The more I think on it, even right now, it's one of those meant to be, like our souls had a contract to meet when we did and change each other's lives for the better. I mean, I talked to you minutes after the first time I met Immortal Technique, and, you know, I had the guts to say, "Hey, Technique." He turned around and I asked if I could take a picture with him, and he was really nice. And then minutes later, I see you and we kick it off. And then, you know, through the other thing that we know each other, the other venue, you know, we had connections there. Your shirt said Namaste, you know, so it was meaningful, and we've got so much in common. Some of my past, you know, I'm from Illinois, had a ghetto upbringing. You know, it's interesting that it's like I'm from Rock Island, Illinois, and some of the drug addicts would say home of the rock, you know, like the crack cocaine. So I'm blessed that, like, the first 8 years of my life, I had a lot of hardship and unmanageability. I got to know another side of poverty, and, you know, at some point I was saved and I came to Davis, California, and I was raised by really responsible aunt and uncle, and they had to deal with the craziness in my life and my acting out and being damaged. I was like a puppy that had, you know, been kicked in its childhood, and they turned my life around by dealing with that and not giving up on me until I was 17 or 18 and got out of the house. And, you know, had some tough years in early college, you know, just experimented with things and let my life get unmanageable again. But the discipline they had instilled in me, like, I had a good work ethic and I had some other redeeming characteristics. And now today, the past like 15 years of my life or so, I've been able to build a life and build a career. And, we'll get into that as we interview. I like to keep things short, so I know when I'm going on too much.
No, it's great. Redeeming characteristics. If you want to have esteem, do esteemable acts. So I love where this is going. I must say, and that's one of the things that has inspired me about you from the beginning, my brother, is that you've been through so much adversity, man, and you're just so enthusiastic. You just have such a zest for life, like when you and I were getting down, chopping it up, on spirituality and also, my branding. Like, I was able to just tell you a vision that I had in my head, and you just, bam, like Fantasia that.
Yeah, and part of the reason I continue to do it is you're so grateful. You're a very grateful human being, and you know how to express that. And so anytime I've done something for you, you've let me know how much it meant to you, and it makes me feel like a valuable person. And I learn new skills, and I try to execute whatever you're asking for. Like when we made the apparel, the shirts and hats, I had never set up a shop through like Shopify and through a Wix website, but I learned how to do that. And so every time we've worked together, it's been to both of our benefit, I think.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. Your skill set is amazing. I've had people of great stature. I had a gentleman, who has been in the Olympics twice, hit me up and ask me, about this new graphic design. So I don't know if I told you that.
No, not yet.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool, right? So one of the things that I would like to dive into with you is your community advocacy, man. You just have such a communal beauty, man. I mean, you just vibe. You just get down with whoever's getting down in whatever way they're getting down. So break it down.
Yeah, that's true. One thing is I've got a lot to make up for. Coming from the broken home childhood and not a lot of parental supervision, I was a little criminal. I was inclined to disrespect authority, to steal stuff from the store, to damage property. So I've done a handful of things. Maybe I burnt a field down once, with a barbecue lighter.
You're telling my story exactly. Go on.
Yeah. So karmically, I have a lot to make up for, but also because of the college years and really looking at myself and doubting myself and having a lot of pain and suffering and being lonely and depressed, I want to be community minded now because I don't want people to feel that way. I like harmony. I like unity. I like, I like being the center of attention, but sometimes it's like that person doesn't look like they know how to act in this social situation. So I'm going to go talk to them. And so, yeah, what can I say? It feels really good to bring unity in people's life. Spiritually, I think everything is one. And so that's probably why I kind of try to bring things into harmony and unity.
Yeah, thank you. I want to chime in briefly and just say that, for me, my extroverted traits, I'm not going to call them qualities because, I was very chaotic as an adolescent, so it was as such, in those regards. And it really took a lot of anxiety and angst and such, for me to flip the script on that, man, in my new life. Once I got past the adolescent years and got into college myself, and that's what I love about mine and your relationship. were, you know, business minded respectively, you know, from a sustainable, you know, realistic standpoint, and also just innovative as all get out when we come together, and individually. So
That's true. We connect like a puzzle piece, and we both inspire each other to feel good about the shape we're taking. Um, we mirror each other in that the things you want to be known for or held in high esteem for are things that, you know, I'm willing to give, and what I want to be held in high esteem for are things that you're willing to give.
Yeah.
Kind of like I said, I'm not jealous of you for your success. You know, I want you to win the lottery, and I'm not going to be jealous when you do, because I'd rather be the guy who wanted for other people. You know, so like that's me getting what I want and you getting what you want. It's really special.
Yeah, no, we have a really unique bond, man. You know, it's one of them ones that just, you know, when you're living a life of serendipity, life is serendipitous, and we were definitely tapped into the evolutionary impulse of the universe when we came across one another, you know, and it's been a very graceful venture.
Yeah. I thought I wanted to meet Immortal Technique that day. I guess I really wanted to meet Derek Dubel.
Yeah, well, you know, Felipe's off the hook. You know, yeah, that was a wonderful experience. You know, I got to sit there and chop it up with Chino and for about an hour and a half, and you know, got to show both of them my song War and Peace, which was inspired by Immortal Technique and Brother Ali's War and Peace tour. You know, I've got to do a lot of really amazing things in my hip hop career. You know, working with platinum producers and such. You know, so I mean, I'm blessed as all get out, man. I'm just hopeful to make it a viable, sustainable lifestyle, and this platform, Small Talk with Devoted, is just like my calling right now for sure. Like in my gut, in my heart, in my soul. Like I know what time it is.
Yeah, you've said things about being in tune, and I have no doubt that this is where I'm supposed to be and what I'm supposed to be doing. Impossible to see, what do they say, the ramifications of this meeting and this interview, but at least it's doing something to my consciousness, showing me what I really think of myself when you ask me questions about myself, and the new level of dedication between our contract. Make sure you get where you need to get going. You know, continue to brand for you.
So, Aaron, tell me where people can find you online. Your most, you know, viable means to be sought after.
Yeah, I mean, I put a lot of work into my website. I think it's a good representation of.
State that. State your website.
It's smartzgraphics.com, and that's Smartz with a Z at the end. Smartz.
Yeah.
And you know, I like Facebook, communicating with people on Facebook.
And they can find you simply by just looking up Aaron Wedra as
That's true.
as spelled on the screen here.
There's so few Wedras out there that I'm always the top result.
Nice, yeah. I can totally relate, man. You know, I thank my parents for spelling my name Derik and having a last name like Dubel, because together,
right?
I'm the only one in the logarithms, you know, whatsoever. So
yeah. If I go down like 8 pages, I think there's some stuff I don't want people to see on Google, but I don't think anyone ever gets there. And if they did, they wouldn't, you know, they probably wouldn't read this weird blog post that a friend did when I was in like high school. Oh, it was horrible.
Yeah, no, I hear you. So tell me about your credentials, man. What, you know, your formal education and your informal education. You know, we're both artists here. No, I'm just kidding. Go on.
I'm proud to have an associate's degree in graphic design from Sacramento City College. It took me long enough, and I may just be one of the first ones in my immediate family to get that level of education. So I can be extremely grateful, but I live in Davis, California, where they say the majority of the percentage of people have like a bachelor's degree, and another huge percent have masters. But I've come to accept myself in a way that I like. I say that I'm like Forrest Gump, and some people say, "Oh, don't say that," but it's like they don't know how much joy that brings me to think that I could possibly be like Forrest Gump. And I may not be a smart man, but I know what love is. That's good enough for me.
I don't care what anybody says, Aaron. I think you're brilliant. I mean, my associate's degree is the only formal thing that I finished. An associate of arts. I finished about 80% of my bachelor's and decided I was too cool for school. No, that's a totally another total different topic and interview. You know what I'm saying? If I were the interviewee, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, college served me amazingly, man, and continues to do so. The bonds and being somebody like yourself, and knowing you, in that sort of depth. Like, I just know that you got your bang for your buck.
Absolutely. Life's been easy ever since I become a man, make my own decisions. I put in the hard work when I was young, and now, I don't really worry each day. Over increments of time, I always see, what you can call progress. I don't know what to say.
You've said it all, brother. So tell us a bit about your portfolio.
I like logos. Logos are my favorite type of work because it's one graphic that is hyper important. It's the representation of a business. And these days, logos are supposed to look super clean and simple. They're supposed to be broken down to like the barest elements possible to still represent a full idea. Adobe Illustrator makes any vector graphics look really smooth. I'd like to move into a little bit of motion graphics, but I got to invest in a computer with more processing power. So logos, simple websites. I live in a small community, Davis, California, and most of the businesses here, a basic website will do it. So if I could do their logo and website, I could put food on my table. I could make connections with businesses, organizations, nonprofits, and have more friends. These people are friends to me. I like being helpful and getting, a pat on the back and knowing that I'm an integral part of the community.
That's right.
What else? Logos, websites, flyers, posters, postcards, any paper product, banners. It's all gravy. It's all fulfilling.
What percentage of your income would you say you're bringing in through graphic designing at this point? And what is your mission? Where do you wish to be? Do you wish to do it full time? I mean, that may sound like a rhetorical and redundant question, perhaps.
Probably half my income comes from my graphic design work, and the other half working for the local newspaper.
Nice.
The other half is me volunteering to get those pats on the back, because that's what makes life worth living. I feel like I'm a people pleaser to the maximum, but it brings me happiness too. It's kind of like the really good news in life about things. It's usually a win-win. Like, when you find out that giving to others fulfills you the most, and it's like, wow, the good news is that if I help others, I help me, and everybody is doing better and happier for it. So I do love volunteering too.
Yeah. Where did you build your website? what front are you using?
Well, Wix. I started with WordPress, but WordPress, I believe, is for people who can do a little bit of coding, because there's not a lot of creative room to make your website look the way you want. Wix is kind of what you see is what you get, and it's a drag and drop and resize, and you double click or triple click any item, and you can go into the settings without knowing any coding. So if you're a graphic designer, Wix is going to feel most at home because it's like working in Photoshop or Illustrator. It feels similar, or InDesign.
So Wix is what you're on right now,
Yeah, definitely.
and you feel that it's serving you solid, huh?
Yeah, and the things I haven't done, it seems like all you do is drag and drop, and you've got a shop. You drag and drop, and you've got a membership portal. You drag and drop, and it's so easy. But yeah.
So do you feel that you're getting solid traffic coming your way?
Yeah, I stopped paying attention to all the stats and the Google Analytics. I could hook someone's website up to Google Analytics, and it's curious, but for me, Forrest Gump, that stuff's overwhelming. It's hard to know if the data you're seeing is true. If you take one statistic or look at it from a different perspective, it changes the whole picture.
Sure.
Small things like you find out that half of your views are just you looking at your own website. There's a lot of things like that, and I don't know.
The way
I think it's working because I get some business now and then, and anyways.
Yeah. I mean, the way I look at business is everything is, micro penny organization, man. I mean, you gotta literally have a PhD in mathematics to scale something out, no matter how, simplistic or intricate your business model is. I mean, it's always going to be serving to have a business mentality, right? It's a checks and balance, man. And for me personally, it's taken a lot of strife for me to find that balance. And Small Talk with Devoted, is seemingly that beautiful balance, man. After just years of experimentation, I mean, years and years of just trying to find that viable, that sustainable, that gratifying space. So,
yeah, it's good to go with the flow. It's also good not to say, I don't have what it takes to do what I want to do right now, believing that you might in the future. Maybe that has some viability, but I've heard it said, like, some people come into life with the simple box of crayons. They got like 8 colors. Other people get the 64 set, and we know that an artist doesn't need 64 different colors to make an exceptional piece of art. So I'm glad that you're moving forward with Small Talk with Devoted. With what you have, you're not letting anything stop you at this point, and that's how I feel about my creative pursuits too.
Yeah, thank you. I believe wholeheartedly in my art and my ventures artistically, and in culmination of business as well. I just need the rest of the world to believe that. So that's the deal, right? That's the ticket. I mean, you gotta have a tribe, you gotta have a following. I mean, there's no way around it. I mean, any business model, you have to have clientele. You have to everything is supply and demand, and when you are literally creating a demand for what you supply, which is true of any business, but it's just seemingly amplified, when it comes to individuals like yourself or myself, where we're quite literally creating something out of nothing. It's I mean, the tangibility is there, right? I mean, if you broke down your vector art, there's a binary system behind, the illustration, the digital illustration, or right. So I mean, everything is tangible, respectively, right? Just like these waves, sound waves that are creating this and the video behind it and such. But I'm just talking about the innovation of bringing, that which is not of this world into this world. And I think that individuals like you and myself do an amazing job of that.
That's right. With the help for me of a higher power, when I'm doing my best is when I'm not even aware that I necessarily exist. Kind of like don't do, just be. And I'll see pieces of art come out, and it's just a culmination of variables that I didn't need to interject and do anything for, except just go with the flow.
Yeah, I love your balance, man. I really do. And I've heard you say it, go with the flow. My old alias before I was devoted was D-Flow, so I used to say, come on, y'all, just go with the flow. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. You know what I'm saying? Boy.
That's very good.
Anyway, I wanted to know, what is your vision, Aaron? Ideally, what do you want to do with, Smartz Graphics, or I mean, like if you could give us a snapshot of what, Aaron's life in totality from the physical world to the spiritual world, break it down for me, man.
Excellent. Good question. Yeah, I didn't know where this interview was going to go.
No pressure.
Not at all. I've got one friend that I'm doing work with. He might be like one of those really good friends who actually watches this video and tells me about it later. He'll know who he is. But I have a job opportunity coming up, and he's just like, wow, that's amazing. He's very supportive. He's like, make sure they know what you're worth. Make sure they know you're the best. And, they're coming to you because they want you, and you got to be confident. And, you're going to leave this with $50 per hour, and that's me mimicking a text, that's just his text. He might not be talking in that voice, but that's what I think. And I appreciate him because he has so much love for me. But, I'm like, I just want to get enlightened, like that's my pursuit of life, is I'd like to be closer to love and God, whatever that means. I want to be one with the universe. So, hey, there's no rule saying you can't make $50 per hour. I figured that out. Rich people aren't inherently evil. Successful people aren't inherently, huge egotistical people. It's okay. It's okay to be happy and to have bounty. But I don't think about the future more than like a day, or maybe an event's coming up in a month and I'm doing design work and event planning for it. So then I'm thinking about that event. But thank goodness I don't have huge desires. And that's another reason you and I work together so well. There's nothing wrong with you wanting to, increase your followers and be appreciated for your art. I mean, I listen to your CD all the time. It's not a CD, but it's in my car. And when your songs come, certain songs, I never skip them. When Recovery comes on, or Pueblo, Colorado come on, I can never skip those songs. They always get me pumped. And so you're doing something for me. And so I just want to be in the moment. I just want to be, less Aaron and more spirituality. And that's why, I love working with you, is because if you have desires for this lifetime, I hope they're all fulfilled. It's absolutely fine. That went nowhere and everywhere, but thank you.
Yeah, no, it's good, man. For me, and I just want to drop this back on you, man, and for the viewers, just I grew up just ultra spiritual, my mother was extremely spiritual, and my dad was an extreme realist, more or less. So, but I tended to bask in the spiritual side, and though it's like Tupac said, man, you know, if the way we treated each other had monetary value, you know, we would be rich. But because it doesn't, we're stone broke. And like, I've lived the majority of my life in struggle, you know, because I want to be the best me that I can be, period, across the board. You know, like the biggest fiscal year I've ever had in my life was $30K, and I was living in the Bay Area, you know, which, like, that's just barely enough to squeeze by, you know, and that's like the most I've ever made in a year. You know, I mean, I have, you know, thankfully had, you know, Patreons and investors come in and throw down on me, you know, to get me where I am. But you know, it's never stopped my drive in respect to the spirit, man. I mean, I freaking hold it down from a spiritual standpoint. And yeah, you know, spirituality, you know, I you know, spirituality can pay the bills, and that's what, you know, my mission as a hip hop artist is. And just, you know, similar to your mission as a graphic designer, you know, I make non-explicit, philosophical, you know, eclectic hip hop, and you know, until spirituality pays the bills, we got to do what we got to do, right? You know, any way you slice it.
Yeah. I mean, every time I've tried to put you in I think they call it a pigeonhole, or put your personality in a box, like, you know, because we'll talk on the phone for an hour, you know, that says something, because I don't do that with many people. And I'll start to think, well, Derek's being hard-headed, like, you know, he should probably, for instance, just get a job first and make the money, and then maybe his pursuit of his, you know, artistry will follow. And then finally I'll have the guts, because we're so honest with each other, that I'll put that in front of you. But you're always elusive, like I imagine God would be, in a way. You can't define it. And every time I try to put you in that box, you actually come up with a response that I understand and I appreciate. And
That's
and
hilarious.
you're never really the way I think you are, man. But it's always reconciliation. Every time I want to have a disagreement with the way you're living your life,
Yeah.
I've come to the point where I don't even doubt it anymore. You're doing perfect for you.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for saying that, Aaron. That's such a freaking gem, man. You know, truly, because, you know, I mean, it's like, you know, my roommate and I will you know, go tit for tat, and he's you know, very independent, you know, business owner of his own, and you know, it's just, and then I break it down for him, you know what I mean, and we generally just, you know, find somewhere to meet in the middle, man, and it's good, you know, like I want to add value, and I want, you know, value added to me as well. You know, I want to be in, you know, spiritually enhancing, you know, and mentally, emotionally, and physically enhancing relationships, you know, and yeah, so this is my guest today, Aaron Wedra. You're on Small Talk with Devoted. I'm your host, Devoted, and we really appreciate you taking the time, Aaron, and make sure and show my brother here, you know, just the most magnanimous love you can find within your soul confines, because he is a great individual, and he has helped me tremendously, and you know, I just hope that we can continue to, and I don't have a doubt in my mind that we will continue to just have an amazing, you know, relationship across the board. So thank you for coming out today, Aaron. Peace and blessings, and we'll catch everybody on the next one, folks.
Thank you, Derek. Namaste.
Namago.